Please welcome to the program, Heather Antos.
Hi,
Hi there. How's
that's
it going?
me.
That is you. That is you. How's it going?
Going good. How are you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Now, of course, you're the senior editor over at IDW. You also have editing duties on a number of other books over at Image and other places as well. Are you just, is there like a set time frame during, you don't work a 9 to 5. You're all over the place, right?
Yeah, I mean, as we were just talking before we record, my day job, IDW, they're based on the West Coast anyway, so like 9 to 5 is so ambiguous
Yeah, yeah.
with the East to West Coast time. But I mean, ask any creative, right? When 9 to 5 doesn't exist.
Totally, totally. Man, but of course, I know this past summer, big announcement was made that IDW's got the next wave of Star Trek titles coming out. And of course, now's the fall. There's coming out now. And of course, Star Trek, the big flagship book, is coming out in October. Tell us a little bit about that series.
Yeah, so I'm really, really, really excited for what we're doing with this kind of like brand relaunch with the Star Trek books. When I took over the license, I realized like there really wasn't the Star Trek book to read, right? If you're a Star Trek fan, like what do you point people to, right? If I like Spider-Man, well, you're obviously going to pick up the Amazing Spider-Man. And then maybe one of his other 20 side titles that he is going on.
Maybe a couple, maybe a
Maybe
couple,
maybe
sure.
a couple. I think, are they ever going to stop? Who knows? But with Star Trek, there never really was something like that. In part because there's also 20 million different shows and ships to follow.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to try and see what does a quote unquote Avengers of the Star Trek universe look like. Bring the best from every era, and kind of put them all on their own adventure and their own ship to build a traditional comics line in a way that the Star Trek comics have never had before. Every single book has previously kind of existed in its own little sphere, its own little um, mini series here that kind of falls between these two episodes, but there's never been the quote unquote comics universe for Star Trek. And so, what this book is, that writers Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly have so smartly put together, is it falls between Voyager and Nemesis, where we can have characters from Deep Space Nine, we can have characters from TNG, we can have characters from the original series, we can have characters maybe from Lower Decks showing up, we can have it's in the sweet spot where you
Yeah.
can pull the best from every single era in an unexplored territory, and out of that, you know spin sister series, maybe a crossover, maybe have a really big traditional comics feel to Star Treks, which hasn't ever happened before.
Totally. Yeah. So when you guys set to put this book together, did you tell Colin and Jackson just pick from wherever, or did you guys like sit down and be like, "This is the set team we're gonna have"?
Yeah, I mean, so what I love about comics editing, and I think one of the smartest editors do, it's 99% picking the right people for your teams, right? And I love Star Trek. I love Star Trek so much, but the last 10 years of my life have been spent working on Star Wars.
Yeah.
Uh, and so um, you know, I won't lie, I felt a bit intimidated coming on to Star Trek, but I'm definitely not as encyclopedic in the fandom, but Jackson and Colin are, and I know them and trust them very well as writers. We had just recently worked together on The Harbinger over at Valiant before my coming to IDW. They just had finished their great run on Star Trek Year 5. Doing great work at DC and Marvel. Their careers are just, on this big upward trajectory. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me to ask those two. You guys are the Star Trek fans. You know what Star Trek fans want. I'm here to be the casual Star Trek fan and the hardcore comics fan to say, yes, this is something that I would be excited about and I would read. And you guys are there to be the hardcore Star Trek nerds.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. But it's an interesting team we got together. Like again, some fan favorites, Cisco and Data, Crusher, all that together. Like I'm actually really excited to see. I'm not even like the I'm very much a casual Star Trek fan. My co-host, he's the hardcore. I'm the casual. But when I saw that lineup, went, oh yeah, they picked from quite a few different people. And then when I read the preview of the first issue, I'm like, oh my god! Like again, I am casual, but at the same time, I do know, hey, that character's from the pilot of the original series. All right, I'm intrigued. How does this all come together? So yeah, so I'm very intrigued by this idea of like this put together team from all the timelines sort of thing, and see how that comes together. So very excited for that. With again, you're no stranger to IP, working with licensed properties in comics. As you mentioned, you were with the Wars for a long time. Now you're with the Trek. Um, with this particular IP coming on, like how hands-on are they? Are they very much like these are the things we want you to do, or are they very open to the ideas you guys have presented?
Yeah, it's really, it's been really, really interesting, shifting from Star Wars to Star Trek. Not that there's like a right way to run licensed IP,
Mm.
everyone does what works for them. But much like Star Wars, Paramount is they consider the comics canon. As canon as comics can be, when
Yeah.
someone in film or TV is just like, that's cute, we're gonna do this. uh but we are in canon with them, whether or not they decide to be in canon with us. um Looking at you, Dave Filoni. Yeah, I have a lot of people have asked, like, are the comics canon? Is the series canon? X, Y, and Z. And yes, they are. I have a weekly meeting every single Monday with Paramount, with a core group of people, where we, review arts. They review the scripts. They are in tandem with the TV, Alex Kurtzman and JJ Abrams and everything that they do. We're working very closely with Bruner House, that's doing a new Star Trek Resurgence game for our prequel. Like, everything is all connected, it's all seen by everyone, just like any other licensed IP is. What I do like about Star Trek is they are very excited about ideas that we present to them. And there is a lot of freedom in, I want to do this style of comic or this genre, or, you know, um, what do you think about X, Y, and Z? Here's the next 3 years of ideas I have. Like, what do you guys think? And they've not said no to anything I've ever pitched them. Like, the only time I've ever been told, oh, you can't do X, Y, and Z, is because, oh, well, we're already planning that for Lower Deck season 4. So you can't, oh, that's already kind of like the movie that's so
Yeah.
it's the only time I've ever been told no is because it's something that they're already working on.
Yeah.
So I guess my ideas are kind of in line with
Yeah, I would think so. If that's happening, then yeah, you're on the right track, definitely. Oh my
so
gosh. No, that's awesome. And of course, yeah, Star Trek, big part of the IDW line of books, but then of course there's tons of like original ideas coming out. And one that really caught my eye is the new book Crashing. That is pretty awesome. I like the feel of that. Matthew Klein, Morgan Beam. That's such a great idea. For people who haven't heard about it, tell them what that series is about.
yeah, so Crashing is one of the first books to come out of the IDW original line. Issue 1 is on sale now. Issue 2 will be on sale in 2 weeks, I think. Not 100% what date, but it follows. I pitch it as, it is the TV show House meets Daredevil. Or Nurse Jackie. You're following a specialized surgeon who can work on powered individuals in a hospital with an anti-powered policy. And there just so happens to be like a war versus good versus evil going on, right? But I really want to stress that this is not a superhero book. This is a human book. This is following a doctor and her journey. She's an addict in recovery, and we see the stresses of the outside world and how they affect her personal life. And I felt really connected to the story because it's very grounded, it's very honest. You know, it's not pretty, in a very human way, and that we everyone likes to think they're a good person, and everyone likes to think they're making the choices they make for the right reasons. But a lot of times, even the best people make very selfish choices. And, you know, we see that in full effect in the story and the consequences that happen because of that. So I think it's very different from any other quote unquote medical drama I've ever seen in
Yeah,
comics, which,
yeah.
you know, name 5 medical dramas in comics, right, guys? They don't exist. So,
Yeah, there was never a licensed ER comic book. No, it's
no.
oh man, but yeah, no, it's definitely a book about personal demons, and like within the first couple of pages, I was invested. I really want to see what happens to Rose there. And so, is there a lot more books like that coming down the pipe at IDW?
there there are a ton. Yeah, I think right now, the next big one coming out is Earth Divers by Stephen Graham Jones, which follows a group of Native Americans who go back in time to kill Christopher Columbus to save the world. So, you know, think it's kind of interesting. And Stephen Graham Jones is I can't remember what his people's nation is, but he is Native American. So it's written by a Native American, it's drawn by an Italian, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, it's I guess
um,
this is his way of saying sorry for my ancestors.
right, yeah, exactly. I will draw these
Yeah,
dozens of crowd scenes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
This is my penance. But yeah, that comes out I think near Columbus Day. I think they're really hitting
Yeah, it's a
it.
good tie-in right
Yeah.
there. Be like, hey, see this holiday that sucks? We got a comic book for you. There you
Yeah,
go.
exactly. So yeah, that one's coming out, and then they'll be announcing pretty soon. We have a new wave coming out for 2023. A couple of books in there are mine that I'm super excited about, but I can't talk about just yet.
Totally understandable.
But definitely keep your eyes peeled.
Definitely. Now, of course, you're also editing some books over at Image right now, and yeah, I just finished reading today the first issue of Old Dog, and
Yeah.
that seems like a fun one. So when it comes to like again, like Declan, of course, working on that book, or like Hannah Rose May doing Rogues Gallery, do they approach you and ask you to be editor involved in these projects?
Yeah, so the way Image works is they don't have in-house editors. You know, if you pitch a book to Image, they're not pairing you with someone. Image is just, all right, let us know when the files are ready and we'll print it,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
That's kind of, you know, how it works. And but a lot of creators, you know, there are a lot of creators who can manage their own schedules, and they like the creative freedom, and they, you know, they've got it, they know what they want to do, they run it. There are other creators who like having someone doing all the day-to-day managerial stuff. They're creators who like having a sounding board to brainstorm creative ideas
Mm.
with, and make sure that everything is cohesive and on track. And that's kind of what I'm there for, you know, Declan. I've edited, God, just every creator owned thing I think he's ever done at Image. I started with him on Injection, and then Time Before Time, and Bog Bodies, and now Old Dog. Um, and same, I'm, you know, Bloodstained Teeth with Christian Ward, doing Rogues Gallery with Hannah Rose May, did Redlands with Jordi Belair. And it's, you know, these are all people that I've worked with, usually starting on the, you know, the Marvel IDW, like
Yeah.
the more IP based comics, and they really liked the experience working with me. That when they found out I did freelance work, they're like, oh, well, you can also run my schedule here and make sure my story is good. Um, and I love doing it. The difference is, and I think this is where it's a fun creative balance, is, you know, when I'm working for IDW or Marvel, and I'm representing the IP, you know, at the end of the day, my word is law. You know, like Declan Shalvey can come to me all day long and say, but I really want to kill Peter Parker. And me as a representative Spider-Man, I'm like, that's cute, but you can't. And like,
Yeah.
That's the law. That's how it is. But if in issue one of Old Dog, he's just like, you know what, Heather, you know what would be really cool is if Old Dog number one, we follow this guy, and then page one of issue two, we just kill him. And I could be like, that might not be the best idea. You know, if people are really invested in this character, but if you want to do that, that's something you can do. And he'll be like, yeah, that's something I want to do. Um, does that happen? I don't know. I guess you'll have to pick up Old Dog issue two.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's like, I don't think you're automatically spoiling something here, so I'm gonna have to check out the issue to find out.
See?
Yeah.
But it, at the end of the day, it is a creator owned comic.
Yeah.
It is what they want. I am just there to kind of to be that first reader to say like, hey, this doesn't make sense. I don't think this is the smartest choice. If this is your goal, what about trying X, Y, and Z? Also managing the schedule and also doing all the publisher interface, so they don't have to do that if they don't want to.
Yeah, of course. Wow. So that's good. That's good. That again, that there's so many creators out there that have enjoyed working with you in the past that they bring you on to their personal projects as well. That's fantastic. And of course, you've always been the kind of editor that is very much like the sit back, listen to the story, and then try to find if there's any like logic holes, right? That's usually you're a guided hand, right?
Yeah, I'm not there to, this is a story you should be telling, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just not my vibe. It's not. I'm here to really understand what is the story you're trying to tell. What are your goals as a creator? I kind of view it as like I'm the Google Maps who's finding the best route there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we hit this traffic jam, so I'm going to reroute and suggest this other path, but it's up to you as the writer to click that option, right?
Like, right. Do you want to get stuck in traffic or do you want to get to the end? Yeah.
Right, exactly. Up to you. You're driving. I've never used that metaphor before, but I think it's perfect.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
But a lot of times, in my notes, I view scripts with writers as living documents, as conversations where we just kind of go back and forth. And a lot of times my notes tend to be just questions that I'm asking, what is the intention behind this action, behind this statement? It's not clear to me what you're trying to convey to the reader here. Can you explain it to me? So that I can get a better understanding and just like, oh, I missed this X, Y, and Z. Okay, it's fine. It makes sense. Or, oh, that's definitely not clear that that's what you're trying to get across. What if we tried, this option instead? And it's something I've talked a lot about with Declan is, he likes that I ask those questions because I always make him justify what he is writing. And he's like, you know what? And sometimes I don't have an answer. And you force me to come up with an answer. And I think a lot of writers like that I make them make intentional choices and they're writing, that it's not just, well, this is convenient for the story.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, definitely. So that they have an actual like answer and path that.
Yeah. It's kind of like the math teacher making you show your work, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of that.
much, yeah. Oh man, so they show how they carry the four because you pointed out that question. Definitely, that's awesome. Now, a couple of weeks, actually, I guess it was, just only about 5 days ago, you tweeted a very important tweet out, and that was asking for chili recipes. Did you find a winner? Did you find a winner?
I have to say I haven't actually gone through them yet.
Okay.
I posted that when I was just like sitting on the subway. I think I was about to meet friends, and I'm based just outside New York City for everyone watching. And we've hit true fall weather here. Highs are in the 50s, low 60s. It's rainy. It's awesome. Pull out your scarves. It's great. It's chili season. And so I really wanted to make chili, but I don't have my own personal chili recipe. So I was like, I can con the internet into giving me theirs.
There you go. Well, if you don't find a good one, email me. I've got a great one. So there you go. Definitely. Now, over the past, couple of years, I've been seeing a lot of your artwork that you've been doing. You've been doing some digital artwork and stuff like that, really going forward. Are we going to be seeing any like cover work from you anytime soon? Because it seems like I feel like you're there now. You're like ready to
Oh,
go.
thank you. Everyone asks me this, and I always disappoint them. I mean, maybe if people want, that's not. I didn't start posting artwork or drawing really just to like to be a comics artist. That's not why I do it. Obviously I love comics art. It's my job. But it, drawing has just kind of been my how do I decompress after staring at words all day
Right,
long.
right, right.
How can I be creative that's in a different way where my brain can relax? And yeah, I mean, being honest, I have been commissioned for a couple covers for like friends Kickstarters and things like that. So they will be out there. You will be able to get them soon.
Okay.
Is that the goal? No. I think if someone ever asked me to like actually draw a cover for like a quote unquote like real like an IP thing or something, I think I would panic and die. Uh,
I don't think you'd die. I think you'd panic, but then come up with something good. I think you would.
Liana Kangas, who's a dear friend of mine, she's always like, when are you gonna draw a comic? I'm gonna be your biggest advocate. I can't wait. And just like the thought of that like makes me want to just like give up drawing forever. So I'm just like, oh no, I have to stop now.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, well then I won't pressure you. I won't pressure you. I think you'll eventually change your mind on that.
I'm sure I will. I'm
Yeah.
sure I will. Like it's a thing where like in 5 years I'll probably be drawing things. Who knows? I don't know. It's not the goal. It's not why I got into it. It's purely just to do something fun and creative. And honestly, a big thing for me, has always been if I'm going to be giving notes to colorists, I better fucking understand what their job is as a colorist. Because we see so many editors I've experienced who just don't have the education and knowledge. And so they say the phrase that colorist hates, which will just make it pop. Right. Just make it pop. Just like bring it out. Make it stand out.
Make it more dynamic. Yeah.
What does that mean? Right.
Yeah,
Well, even
exactly.
like make it pop, like that's an onomatopoeia, like what is that? I don't know how to do that, a sound effect, but so it really became a thing where like, well, I want to be able to speak their language. And so my first year at Marvel, I took a coloring class. Like I took a class with Chris Meyer at Comics Experience to like at least understand the basics to be able to clearly communicate with the talent. And that's kind of the same way with drawing for me. Is I've always drawn, but if I'm going to be giving notes on panel layouts and anatomy and things like that, like I want to be able to clearly communicate, so I'm not going back and forth over the same note with a creator. I don't want to waste their time, and I don't want my time being wasted. So, and I want good work. We all want good work out of it. So yeah, that's really a big part of it. And now I get to do my own art corrections. So
there you go. That's pretty awesome. That's very cool. Oh man. Now, of course, like I met you just before a few months before probably about 6 months before the pandemic at a convention here in Toronto. And at the time, I was at your table and you had a bunch of drawings. Of course, you had your signature of drawing penguins. Now, everybody knows out there, like anybody who's heard about you knows that you love penguins. That's kind of like the first day. It's like, oh, editor loves penguins. Has anybody pitched you a comic series starring penguins yet?
No.
Like that seems like an open goal. If I wanted to get a comic done, go to Heather Antos with a penguin comic.
I know you'd think, right? Yeah. It still has to be good. Penguins aren't going to be. Yeah. I will say though, I will say I have had people. I think it was same year. It was 2018. I went to Madrid for Comic-Con and I was doing portfolio reviews there, and the way they worked is, you would submit portfolio reviews and I would have like a stack of like 100 that I would have to whittle down to like 10 that I'm going to sit and meet, one-on-one and actually have a conversation with. But people knew who they were submitting to because there were ones that like, here's a little penguin in there. Here's a little, you know, a little doodle specifically of a penguin that I knew like this is for me. And you're hoping that like I drew a penguin, so she's gonna, you know, and sorry if I appreciate it, but I'm not gonna give you work just because you drew a penguin. Like it still has to be good. I appreciate it though, and I look and acknowledge and smile at every single one.
There you go. There you go. So the penguin love is still strong with you.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my God. Well, Heather, I want to thank you for taking the time today. I'm glad we got to do this. I know there was a
Yes.
lot of juggling back and forth with us. Again, you don't work a 9 to 5. You're working all the time.
It's true. It's true.
So yeah, so I'm glad we are able to do this, and
Yes.
I look forward to all the great books that are coming out.
Thank you. Thank you. And keep your eye out for more penguins because you
I
never know.
will. I will, definitely. All right. And again, if you need that chili recipe, let me know.
I will.
Okay. Have yourself a great day.
Thank you.